Welcome to the Zachrilege podcast, YouTube video interview program that features me talking to some of the best and brightest in the atheist/secular/awesome community. This is episode 225. I recorded this interview on June 3rd, 2020. Thanks to my third and quite possibly last Atheist Happy Hour for being my last guest. Sorry the last 2 weeks were crazy, so I was not able to do it. Somehow, we all passed the time. I asked Chris Watson of the Postmodern Polymath Podcast again because I needed to do a quote-unquote normal show. Also because I know he's steeped in social justice causes, and he did have that End of Policing author on his show recently. It's not bad having guests who were on the Postmodern Polymath Podcast first. Are you sure Polynesian isn't part of it? But it hurts me in a deep, deep core where nobody roams, but it's just a flesh wound. We talked about how the police kind of suck and maybe are all bastards, and billion-dollar budgets for people who protect, serve, and just do about anything the fuck they want might not be the best use of our funds. So, let's start the conversation.
You're more likable when you're drunk. Those are the words that in his heart every alcoholic longs to be true.
Cool. Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast. Chris Watson. I was supposed to put my mask on. I'm sorry. Really, when I'm on the internet and I'm near you, I need to just. There's some beard germs I hear are really contagious. Yeah, this bit's terrible. Okay, we'll move on. Hi.
Yeah, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this.
Oh, is it?
So what's going on there, Zachary?
Anyway. So, as Jeannie says, never forget the D. So, I am representing tonight. I got the Dragon's Milk t-shirt. Dragon's Milk White in the Dragon's Milk White glass. Dragon's Milk Regular in the glass. And I'm not mixing them because just like some of our police departments, no mixing. Anyway.
Oh! Well, I have my usual, the official beer of the show, Lagunitas, or Lagunitas, or how the hell you pronounce it.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this where we officially announce our membership to Antifa? Do we have some kind of Antifa, like, is Antifa like the fake Antifa, like the finger guns? Oh,
yeah,
probably not.
T-shirt.
Oh, rubber bullets. You're supposed to aim them at the ground, everybody. Rubber bullets. Anyway. No, you're supposed to aim it at someone's face.
Yeah. Somebody, if that hadn't already been done, there has to be a T-shirt that says official member of Antifa or something like that.
I probably should change my Twitter because I'm official whatever version of the left that skeptics are going after this week, and now I'm just okay, I'm Antifa. Why not? So so here we are. Not much to talk about. I'm not sure how we're going to fill the time.
Nope.
So Antifa. Antifa has been like the boogeyman. Antifa is kind of like the SJW of movements. People have decided that's what you go after now, especially since it's not clearly defined at all. So is that a movement of brilliance to say it's a terrorist organization? I don't even know if the government has officially done that and if it actually can be done.
You can't.
Or if it's just another stupid thing that our leader of the free world said.
How would you do that? There's no centralized. That's so stupid. It's an idea. It's not even really a group. That's like declaring war on drugs, for example.
Well,
they did a good job of that.
Repeat that in your set. We're good.
No, let's just outlaw all people who we disagree with. Oh, that's almost like a fascist state. Oh, weird.
I mean, for all the, and this is repetitive anyway, but it's for all the skeptic atheist types who are going after Antifa, it's always yeah, but isn't Antifa against fascism? So does that mean you're pro-fascism if you're against Antifa? No, I'm against the people who protest badly. It's well, okay, that's a general thing, and that's a lot of people.
It's the tactics. It's because it's left. Anything that's left, they can't take. They can't stand.
I think someone jokingly said Antifa called themselves some foreign terrorist organization, and that was like a terrorist organization that our army like armed with all those weapons because they were fighting someone else that we hated. So that's all Antifa has to do is say, we're fighting ISIS, and then they get tanks and guns and whatever stuff our over militarized world has become.
What was it? Mujahideen over in we gave to Afghanistan or whatever.
I know.
Gave them all the weapons.
It's kind of like trickle down in economics. That we're just going to keep trying it. Just blow everything up.
That turned out great.
But I wanted to ask you, since you've actually been in the quote unquote shit, like you've been in protest areas, whereas I've been in my house. So I'm wondering, what was that experience like for you? Like, when did you go? What part of Nashville did you end up in? What happened?
So, initially, of course, it said 5 to 8. But I knew damn well after looking at all the coverage I'd seen everywhere else, it was going to last past 8. So, of course, I didn't get
So, at the time when this happened, was there a curfew? Because, there's a cat. Nice. See, that's the brand. Cat's like
all up in my grill.
Oh,
not
boy.
yet. There wasn't at that point. So I got down there and get your ass out.
You know what this show needs? More cat butt.
So I was like, okay,
and I gotta go back the other way.
Christ. Fucking. So I go down there. I had to park. Remember where we parked before? When we went to
It's like the Gulch, which is like an area.
Yeah,
I parked in downtown-ish Nashville.
Yeah, I parked this. Jesus Christ!
If you're listening to the show, you are missing Chris and his cat just having a time. The cat's like, you know who runs this house? Not you.
Right. I think she's gone now. So I parked down there in the middle of nowhere, and it was kind of interesting because where I parked, there's white people, as you know, a lot of hipster white people. All the new urban, whatever you want to call it, where all the rich white kids, the cool white kids go now. So I had to walk from there downtown to downtown area, and that was a little bit of a walk for my ass. But anyway, as I got closer, I noticed. Looking up, coming down Charlotte, I saw that there were state troopers surrounding the Capitol building, or the actual state capitol, the entrance to the state capitol. And I said, okay, all right, this is interesting. So then I get closer and I start seeing graffiti, BLM, ACAB, that kind of stuff. Then I get to...
So what does ACAB stand for, just for fun? The first time. This is
all cats are beautiful. No,
of course.
All cats are best. Well, that too.
It's got a lot of uses, this acronym, I tell you.
In this context, it's all cops are bastards. So just to let everybody know. So I got closer, and I work downtown, and I passed the building I work at, and they had busted the windows out. And I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Was this before or after the courthouse was caught on fire?
That was before it. It was before that.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, all right. So I saw that, and I saw a couple other busted, some more graffiti, mostly just busted windows and graffiti. Now, before that, I was watching on TV, and somebody had fucked one of some cop cars up. But I don't think anybody had said more than that at that point. So then I get down to where the action is, and it was I want to say it was Dedrick in 5th, 6th, 7th? I can't remember. I think it was Dedrick in 6th. But anyway, so the cops already had the street cordoned off, right? So I was on the corner. Everybody was watching. I was on the left. Everybody from the left over was watching. Everybody on the right. It was straight in front of me is where the courthouse was. No, it's a historic courthouse or whatever. The old historic courthouse in City Hall or whatever. And I couldn't see anything except for the cops, obviously. People were taking pictures. There were signs and shit. So I couldn't really see much. I was videotaping it, but there was protesters on the courthouse, I guess, over there in the courthouse plaza or whatever. So the only thing I actually was able to see was what I could assume was tear gas.
It's like, that's interesting. I saw a tear gas, which makes you not able to see. So,
Well, it was farther away. I mean, I'm assuming that's what it was. It was some sort of. It may have been flashbang grenades. I don't know. But then I saw fireworks. I'm like, what the fuck? Apparently, that's a thing they do now. They throw fireworks and shit. I didn't.
The cops do? I know. I've heard of protesters like
protesters.
I don't even know if they shoot them at the cops or they're shooting them in general. Like
they just shoot them in general. I was like, okay, did I miss the 4th of July? What happened?
I hear if you just hold a bunch of AR-15s and you're white, you're set. They high five you and stuff.
No, totally. Yeah, that's all they needed. Just hire a couple of these fucking backwoods bubbas to fucking bring their goddamn ARs, and that'd be fine. Maybe if they put some white face on, actually, maybe that would help.
Well, Jeannie asked in the chat room, so were people... I mean, obviously, the social distancing part clearly wasn't happening since there were probably thousands of people, right?
No, yeah. There
were people wearing masks? I mean, I know I've seen pictures, and it seems like it's like a lot of times you go out, it's like some not.
Well, at that point, because in the beginning it was a peaceful protest earlier in the day, and there was like 1,000 people. Of course, as usually happens towards, the end of the night or, when it started getting dark, the hardcore people were still there. They're the ones causing them the troublemakers. So,
were you, so like every person you saw, were you like, excuse me, sir or ma'am, or non-gender binary, are you an outside agitator? Can I see your ID, please? Were you doing that?
Cool. I'm cool with the kids.
Yeah.
No, I did, because when I got there, they were saying you are doing an illegal assembly. You must vacate the area or whatever the fuck they say or whatever. And I'm like, who are they? And I like looked around, I'm like, where? Because there was nobody there. And apparently, like I said, they were on the other side. You couldn't see them because the cops had cordoned them off. So I couldn't see them, but they were over there in the courthouse area or whatever. So that's who they were talking about. Everybody with me were just onlookers or whatever. There was a couple of people with signs, but
it's weird that protesting is like a spectator sport.
It's at that point, yeah. That's what it boils down to, yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's why I went down there. I wasn't under no illusion, because by that point, it already, like I said, the main protest part had already pretty much petered out or whatever. It's when you get towards, the nighttime is when all the ruffians come out. So that's when I got there. They said those people needed to disperse. It's an unlawful assembly. And so we were waiting there. Finally, the cops did go after them and they ran off. But that's when I saw the fireworks and the tear gas. I'm sad that, because like I said, we couldn't see shit. It's kind of like when I went to that protest in Laguna Beach when I was in California. You couldn't see anything because the cops had blocked everything off. I'm like, why am I here? I smell sage, but I don't see anything. I'd rather see things. But anyway, but at that point they had set fire to the courthouse, and I wanted to, if I was going to see some shit, that's some shit I want to see right there. I mean, but other than that, the only other thing I saw was this hillbilly. They were trying to take a picture, a BLM picture, and these black chicks were trying to take a picture, and some hillbilly fucking redneck who's in town for his girlfriend's birthday tried to get in front of the picture, going like, with two, it's like, "Hey, bruh," and she's like, "This picture's only for Africans." I'm like, "Cracker." I say cracker, and she looked.
It's probably a bad time for people. It's almost as bad as when they had the NFL draft and like all the bachelorette parties were pissed. It's like, boy, what a bad weekend of a bachelorette party when people were protesting and trying to set down.
Well, that was
everything on fire.
Was kind of funny because, like I said, I came out of the Gulch, and you would have thought there was nothing going on coming out of the Gulch, because that's basically a separate fucking city by itself. They don't care what's going on outside the Gulch. It's like L.A. in the middle of Nashville. Because it's just, walking their dogs and not even giving a fuck about anything, and your boat shoes and your goddamn shorts, your pastel shorts, or whatever the fuck you're doing. I don't know. So anyway.
You're probably wearing pastel shorts. Come on.
Yeah, you know how I roll.
See, this is clear. Like, this is how the show goes. So here we are talking, and in the chat room, they're like, where's Lyman? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Have you heard from him?
Presumably, they can talk to each other by other means, except in a public fucking chat room. I mean, it makes you look good because it looks like people are actually watching it. So that's good.
I mean, looks like is about as good as it goes. You, of course, do a show with Lemon kind of every week, so you know him a little better, but it did sound like he was actually trying to get supplies to the people who are protesting because he's in kind of the DC area, and that's probably what's going on. So he's not here.
What's going to end up happening is
maybe he'll show up.
If Natalie, I'm going to have to go through Natalie. That's his.
Oh, that's good. That's a winner. That's a winning strategy. I'm sorry that my chat room does not approve of my hairstyle, but you are not, you can't opt out for like paying taxes to police or military, but as Patreons, you are helping this right here. Actually, no, you're helping this. This is what you're helping. Beer, actually.
Yeah. It's
like we're 0 for 2 on pants wearing. Yeah. That's why on the show, you see this? You don't see this. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. No, my dick is hanging out right now. Sure is. I know that's a visual.
That's the best out of context quote I think we've ever had in the entire show.
That's not.
But, well, okay, so as they say, shit is all fucked up. But at the same time, we are seeing a lot of Confederate statues going downhill. So how are you feeling about that? Being removed.
I think you probably know the answer to that. So I've been keeping.
What about that one that's like on your when you're driving on I-65 heading toward Nashville, and it's like the one what is it, Bedford Forest, and it's got all of the flags of the Confederacy. Yeah. It's right off the interstate, and it's like
the biggest
it's not good.
Abomination. No, it's on private property.
Of course.
People have tried to vandalize it before, but now he's got a fence up, and it's the funniest thing ever. If you're in the Nashville area, you need just to go to look at the gate to the property. And it says, and I have a picture somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I took a picture, and it says no trespassing, protected by, and I swear to Jesus, it's got every 3-letter organization you can think of. FBI, CIA, ICC, fucking FCC. They just threw everything in there. It was so fucking hilarious.
I don't think those people like the FBI or CIA, but it's hard to say.
I mean, they're just throwing letters out, hoping somebody would. It's like so ridiculous. It was funny as fuck. But that's not problem. Somebody. But the thing is, if you do that, he's just going to rebuild it back. The only thing you're going to be able to do is do some kind of zoning ordinance. That's the only way you can be able to get rid of it. But anyway, the one that I've been watching for the last 3 days, it seems like, was one in Birmingham that had been coming down. There was a riot in Birmingham, and they were trying to tear down the statue of, it was the Confederate Memorial statue or whatever. And it was built like in the early 1900s, which if anybody knows anything about Confederate memorials, they were mostly built in the early 1900s because guess why? It was the second incarnation of the Klan. The Klan started coming back out in the early 1900s. And the United Daughters of the Confederacy are the one that did most of those, and they're racist as fuck. Actually, they're racist as fuck.
You don't say.
So, but they were they couldn't get the thing down because apparently it was solid as fuck. So they were going to have a riot in the park because they were going crazy. So the mayor came down there, right? And he's like, okay.
It's impressive work by a mayor, which is not par for the course lately, by the way.
Yeah, I was actually quite impressed the way he handled it. He was right there in the middle of them. He was like, look, I'm going to get this shit removed just to prevent any more, fucking violence or whatever the fuck. even though that.
What the fuck? Yeah.
But so yeah, they dispersed from the park. They vandalized it because they weren't going to get. They tried with a truck. That motherfucker is not coming down with a regular truck. Okay, let me tell you. So they dispersed from there after he promised that. But then some people went and breaking windows and shit, which I don't care about that. But one member of the media got knocked down, which I thought was jacked. Honestly, yeah, destruction's one thing, but knocking people out for no particular reason just seems kind of counter.
This is a bad time to be a journalist unless you're covering like the Proud Boys as a fan of them. You're doing just fine. You get 6 figures just handed to you for nothing.
If you're Andy Nago or the fuck his name is.
Yeah.
So
that guy just keeps rolling through. I'm like, oh, he must be excited as hell about all this stuff going on.
You already know.
The grift is on. There's so many like.
The grift is on.
To be. That was a picture I sent you. It was like a right-wing grifter who saw somebody like boarding up their building, and they grabbed like a drill and said, "Take a picture of this so it looks like I'm helping," and then they left immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. So
apparently Jeannie is a big fan of windows. It's not Save the Whales in Vermont, it's Save the Windows. That's a good bumper sticker, actually. That's cool.
She lives in White State. She don't count. It's like
oh boy,
2 black people.
I didn't say that, but it's kind of true.
Anyway, so that was unfortunate. They broke some windows and some businesses that were insured, which I give. You want to know how many fucks? See that? You can't see it if you're not watching on camera, but it's a 0 with my hands. It's 0 fucks.
Well, it's not the okay sign.
So anyway, they did. He kept his promise. He hired some contractors. They brought a crane, and even with the crane, it took them. The first night they didn't come until like nightfall nearly, and then it took them to they worked till like 2 a.m, and then they had to stop after only getting like 2 sections down. These things were heavy as fuck. Apparently they're like solid sandstone or whatever. So then the second day they still didn't get it all down. Finally today, I saw that overnight they had finally gotten the rest because the pillar. There was a big pillar. Was the hardest part to get down or whatever, right? So they finally got that. Apparently inside that pillar there's a time capsule with like old documents, an old Confederate flag, and all kinds of, shit like that or whatever. Bunch of participation trophy shit. I don't know. So all that's left now where it was is a bunch of rocks and rubble. I do have to mention before we leave this topic is there's actually this controversy of the statue has been going on a while, and actually they tried. The reason Alabama passed that law, you're going to be fined $25,000 if you take the statue down, which the mayor is taking a loss on this, but he said it was better than the unrest or whatever, right? But
yeah,
there was a plywood. They had like a plywood box around the statue, so you couldn't see it. That was their solution up until that point, right? Which I thought was kind of whatever. Wow. They're trying to skirt the law, but not actually breaking the statue down. So they put like a fucking box around it or something. So, but anyway,
where to go? Like, because I've heard that some of the things they've taken down that have been like Confederate, like you could put them in a museum. I mean, they don't have to be publicly displayed. If people really want to see, and people do need to know the history, not only the history of like the Civil War, but what happened after. Like, that's one of the problems we've seen that's like plagued us is like the amount of education people get about this is not much. So then like the first time they actually hear, wait, people treated black people badly in the South, and like some people are shocked. Some people should know better.
Some people there are plantation tours that they do. They actually do plantation tours. And this is true. From what I've seen, I've heard anecdotal evidence that they try to underplay. They try to, act like slavery wasn't as bad as they say it is, and that is a thing in the South. People don't believe it. Like, oh, surely, what? No, they fucking try to make it sound like slavery wasn't as bad as everybody thinks. There are people who actually actively do this. Okay, y'all. It's craziness.
Y'all.
Craziness.
Yeah, I'm currently reading a book called Barracoon, and it's by Zora Neale Hurston. And that's her interviewing someone who actually was taken as a slave in 1859, was a slave for 5.5 years, and then lived in the South for 60 years. And she interviewed him in like 1927. And it's like, this is not very far in our past.
People don't
see, like, to actually hear the story of someone who was taken and like what their life was like is not an experience a lot of people have dealt with, and just try to think of what that life is like, let alone being black in America, and what you have to deal with on a daily basis. And the fact, like, being willing to protest. And that's the thing, like, the protesters are currently getting, like, so they've started these curfews, and then the cops like surround them and don't let them get on a train or get to their cars where they can get away before. And then they just tear gas the shit out of them, and they beat the crap out of them. And this has been going on for like 5 days, and people aren't stopping. So that's telling you something, that like people are pissed. Like, this system has to, like you said, like you had on someone who said, end policing. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit, because like you didn't have the podcast out, so I couldn't listen to it. But you can tell me all about it right now.
Yeah, I did. That's been out for a while.
Apparently,
that was a while back. Actually, that was a month ago. I mean, I'm gonna need you to get on the ball there, Zach.
I'm off the ball, clearly.
Apparently, yeah.
Plus, I'm being lazy tonight, so feel free. Because that's the thing, when people say, hey, all these atheist leaders are getting caught doing bad shit. Well, what's the path for them to be redeemed? Well, what's the path to replace, what's the Indiana Jones when he takes the thing and puts the, the weight to even it out?
It doesn't work.
Well, yeah, that's the problem.
Hey, that's a metaphor, right?
What is the alternative to what we have now? I mean, because right now is obviously terrible, but there has to be some kind of solution. Like, do we have to put more responsibility on citizens, which I think probably would be a good idea. But at the same time, like having police, but maybe having them actually trained and not like Joe Biden shoot him in the leg, like when someone, trying to actually
to not talk,
not shoot people
just
would be a good start.
Don't say anything until the election. Just let fucking Trump shoot himself in shoot himself in the leg. Don't fucking don't add to it. Shut up, Biden. Just shut up. Basically, let him hang himself. You're not helping. Okay, Mr. Gaffey, come on. So yeah, I'm not going to give away, because there's a lot more to it than just get rid of the police. Basically, he actually wrote an article a couple days ago. It's a little shorter. Obviously, it's not a whole book, but one of the big things is defunding the police. It's this kind of idea of reallocating funds that are used, because just like we can't stop spending money on the military. Apparently, cities can't stop spending money on the police, right? This is so penal. This whole model of just somehow if you have more cops, you'll be safer, which has been disproven how many times at this point, right? So the idea is like to defund the police and reallocate that money to social services, and lessen what the cops do, right? We have cops We have them doing too much shit they don't have any business doing. Like when you call for mental health, if you call a suicide hotline, they send cops and shit. Now some cities like Denver have been experimenting with having like a counselor, an on-call counselor or something that goes out to these things or whatever. Now, if it gets dicey, okay, maybe. But you just don't send out cops because you see what happens. They're not equipped for this shit, so they just go around shooting people. And that's another thing. They just trained to shoot. They're militarized, so they tell them, shoot first, ask questions later. That's what it comes down to. Right? So that's another thing, the militarization of these the program where the military sells their surplus or their used shit to fucking that's fucking insanity to me. These cops get fucking like MRAPs and shit. They're armed like they're in fucking Iraq or Afghanistan or some shit. And they sell these to police departments, even smaller ones. It's obscene. So stop militarizing the police. Get rid of the functions that they absolutely do not need to have. Like I said, if you make people, the population, safer by having less poverty, they're not hungry, they have jobs, they have ways to get jobs, they're healthier. You put all this money into all these other programs instead of having the concentration being, let's put people in jail, right? And that's just a whole country. We just love putting people in jail. Apparently, we're like the biggest besides China. We're like the biggest prison population in the world. So, and I don't honestly. In his book, he actually goes a little deeper into what we can replace police with. Like he just basically doesn't want to have police at all, Harley. Right? It's basically the whole idea. It's almost like a libertarian idea. You know how the libertarians love to act like they don't want government for anything or whatever. Well, it's like a libertarian idea of policing, right? It's like so small you can drown it in a bathtub or whatever. If I'm paraphrasing that jackass, you know.
That jackass. Yeah, it's
they just have too much.
It's kind of like our political system. Like everybody's trying to reform what we have, and it's clearly just needs to be totally redone because it's kind of like the coronavirus. They said, "Hey, we're giving everybody $1,200, but actually, it's just like a little advance on your taxes in the future. It's not real money." But then they just threw money at corporations that started just firing people left and right. So it seems like we have money for things. Like, do you see all these stories? Do you see police going, "Hey man, we're out of tear gas"? I haven't heard anything about that yet, but I've heard of plenty of people saying, "Hey, we're out of food."
Yeah,
but
it's the same old shit.
We are.
We can't afford fucking universal health care, but we can afford to give billionaires just $1 trillion, just off the top. No questions asked. Boom! Just at a snap of a finger, but we got a fucking hem and haw over making everybody have insurance. You just don't care. It's priorities. I mean, it's just don't give a fuck.
I mean, in Atlanta, we have a mayor who basically told all the protesters, go home, and she just told them off. But the first thing she did when she became our mayor is give money to the police. So it seems like almost that the politicians are. I mean, what was it? The mayor of New York's daughter got arrested, and they doxed her, and he was like, "Sorry, police, I love you." They might have a bit of power. I mean, I think it's the budget for the police in New York City is $6 billion. It's crazy obscene money. And it's we can't cut the budget for our military, and we can't cut the budget for police because there's been this story, hey, narrative, something us in the non-believing side maybe not so good at. The narrative is no, military good, police good, and we've kind of bought it. And it seems like this is an opportunity.
Slowly.
So thank you, Deborah, for being around. She's got to go have some Oreos and whiskey, apparently. So she's got to go. It's all good.
But yeah, they just keep. It's like they don't know how to do anything else, right? So it's fundamental changes. Sometimes it's hard to even imagine something being a different way if you've done it for so long, right? So the idea of somehow not funding the military / policing until, obscenely is, what are you talking about? What is this you speak of? Instead of giving money to people who, like programs that might actually lessen crime by making people healthier, have jobs, being more secure in their community because they're not worrying about if cops are going to come beat them down every 5 minutes. I mean, come on.
That's a way to push to defend the status quo, which people tend to dive on, is not great because, today in my little sports world, an NFL quarterback's like, well, you can't disrespect the flag. You can't disrespect the flag. And the whole flag sports thing is really a post 9/11 type thing. It really hasn't been going on for that long, but everybody acts like it's been a thing for 7,000 years. So, see, Genie's strong. Another 5 minutes. There you go. That's a question we may actually, throw it out there. And by the way, coronavirus still a thing, and all these people are protesting, and for good reason. I've heard that we're going to get a little spike in people getting sick because that's just going to happen now.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate that this is happening at the same time where people are actually so fed up they're going to protest. I mean, it really does take a lot, I feel like, to get Americans to protest. I feel like the French protest for anything.
I love it. I don't give a fuck.
They're even around the world, they're protesting because of us.
That's crazy to me.
That people are paying attention to us. In a way, I'm like, maybe you shouldn't pay as much attention to us.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, we're where we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, so it looks like these are actually, I feel like these are, Trump being president is making it worse in a way, but it's also making it more urgent because this motherfucker trying to burn down the country, basically. So people are feeling the urgency a little more. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
Yeah, the whole institution of president is not a great thing because I think people on the left have legitimate criticisms of what Obama did while he was president, but the true believers of Trump, I don't even know. It's it's beyond anything that we've seen, but it's something that's been around in the history of humanity forever. And the whole thing with him doing that Bible photo op that happened a couple days ago, and the fact that it was hey, everybody who's the worst people who have stayed with him from the beginning, they were behind this. Hope Hicks was behind it. Ivanka Trump was behind it. Well, Bill Barr, who's he's a freaking criminal. And it's well, they had 55 votes in the Senate, so he got in. And they're just yeah, tear gas Americans, and then have him hold a Bible awkwardly. I don't even know. He was holding it he was barely touching it.
Because the motherfucker's never held one, probably. Except to give the oath and the fucking what he just did. Or whatever. And I mean, of course, every other religious leader's man, you're gross. Except for the evangelicals, of course, they eat that shit up.
I mean, Christians are some of them are turning, but they're not quite. They're not quite getting the message. Yeah, anyone can use a holy book for their political means, ends, means, whatever. And that's what he's doing. He went to didn't he go to a Catholic church? That was the picture I shared with you. It was him and Melania in front of, and they looked so not happy to be there. And it's really weird because America's history, one thing America's history is pretty consistent is oh, the Catholic Church is the devil. And he's just cool. That's super Christian. Let's do that. Even though he's from a Protestant background, which is not so pro-Catholic, but they don't even notice the difference anymore.
They don't care. It's a hard.
It's all the same. It's a very clear understanding of what things are.
Hardcore. And we're talking about the South is a major base of this stuff. And let me tell you, Nashville is not as bad, but if you go out even 50 miles outside the city limits, you see the shit, right? So, I mean, they are hardcore. He said it before, he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, and they wouldn't fucking care. They just wouldn't. They think he's Jesus is anointed, even though he does everything like he's literally the anti-Christ, right? Just in the definition, of course, if you accept Christ as existing, whatever. But, if you,
Sure.
other than that part,
We'll give you that.
he literally does the opposite of anything resembling, and not just Christian, resembling decency. I mean, he is just a fucking piece of shit. I mean, he's not even, I can't even think of a redeeming quality. And I don't say that lightly, because most people have at least one redeeming quality, right? Most people. Like, they're nice to their mother. I have a feeling he'd fucking kill his own mother, to be honest with you. So
There seems to be just a lack of empathy. So let me throw a couple of quotes out here. This is the first one, you'll go with. Second one you probably won't like, but here we go. Imagine a nation where it took months to respond to a pandemic, but seconds to militarize the police against its civilians. That was a tweet I saw today. Quote.
Yeah, that's legit. I'm on that train.
And here we go. This is good. This is like telling us what's going to happen, and we weren't listening. You know what solves it? When the economy crashes, when the country goes to total hell and everything is a disaster, then you have riots and go back to where we used to be when we were great. That was Trump in 2014 on Fox News defending Russia.
Oh, God. Who?
Trump.
Defending who?
Russia, but there is no
Russia.
collusion. It was all illegitimate, and all those media people who are like just making a big deal out of how there was nothing. Maybe it was overemphasized, but there wasn't nothing. There was a lot less than nothing.
There's a lot. There's tons of shit, but I don't know that they had enough of an effect on the election but they did some shit.
It wasn't, the thing was like, there were a lot of effects, but it wasn't going to take much when Trump won by like 80,000 votes in 3 states. And it could happen again because he's already set the precedent. He's already set I'm just going to send my Department of Justice thugs, because the Department of Justice used to actually be independent, and now that's over.
Oh, yeah, really?
So they could just go into a few swing states in November, and people aren't going to show up to vote.
There's one that the judicial branch, at least some of them, are acting like actual independent people. So there might be a chance that might not, because there's a lot of shit that hasn't gotten through because some judges are actually acting like normal people.
I know. I hate having these very, you have these hopes that Biden is going to be you know what, I'm done, and he quits, and they say, all right, Bernie, go for it. They probably wouldn't say Bernie. They'd probably throw anybody else.
Literally anybody. They fucking draft literally
these small hopes. There's this small hope I have that Trump literally wins 0 votes in November, and that's not going to happen. But he's going to get just demolished and embarrassed and go to jail. And then we're gonna create a reality TV show where he has to tell the truth, and every time he doesn't, he gets shocked.
Get shocked, yeah.
So he can pay off the debt he owes to the humanity for all the money. Genie says, "Don't be a dick."
Oh wait, don't be a dick. Fuck you. How about that?
Wow, come on! Don't do it to the Patreons.
She's not going anywhere. She's been here.
This comment is not supported by the Zachrilege cast. I know all the friends I have because I have 3. So, yeah, 2.
Oh.
The numbers have gone down. I mean, who knows? I have no idea. When's the next time I'm going to come to Nashville? Because,
shit, I know.
It's all about go to a football game. And now it's I don't even think.
Maybe you could come here just to see me. I mean, I know that's a I know that's a weird idea. How about
I
that?
don't know. That sounds a little strange.
That's a little
Okay,
weird.
so I was going to ask Lyman if he's on the show. Nothing about politics, because clearly he knows nothing.
And
But he's actually a guy who likes to cook and stuff. So what have you been whipping up anything other than opening some beers since you've been home? I mean, obviously you're opening some cat food.
They cook like a motherfucker. I told them to send me some baked goods.
Yeah, exactly.
They cook all the fucking time. I need a wife, apparently. Or we can make an arrangement. You don't actually have to do anything with me. Just cook for me. And you can do just that. I'll do everything else. Just cook. Basically a live-in maid or something. Maybe talk to me every once in a while or something.
You're really aiming high there. So you're saying you're not much of a chef there?
Me? No, dude. I eat like what do they say? I eat like an 8-year-old? That's generous. I mean, it's more like I might as well have fucking those little kids' TV dinners with the little dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets.
I guess those are good. Don't
knock them until you try them. That's all I'm saying.
No, I mean, I was cooking before, but now it's like work can be a little weird when you're working from home. So sometimes you can't cook during the week. So it's like, on the weekends, just go crazy and have a bunch of leftovers. So that's how I'm living.
Yeah, I got to hurry up before I lose my looks. I got to hook on to something before it's too late. So if you're
I'll pray for you.
I will drive down there just to punch you, and then I'll drive right back. I have no qualms, sir.
I know. You have no qualms.
I'll actually walk in, punch you, steal your beer, and then I'll leave.
You might not all fit in your car at this point.
You have that much beer?
That's the one thing that I have kept pretty well during the quarantine, is to make sure that the beverage count is pretty good.
You don't drink as much as I do, so you probably keep it longer.
Yeah, well, it's good we're not keeping track, because that would be bad, right?
Even probably.
So, okay, predictions. How are things going to head here in America in the next few months?
Man, they're all out the fucking window at this point. It's hard to tell. Trump has already talked about bringing the military, but then you got fucking his Secretary of Defense saying, I don't support this shit. Mattis just came out saying he's fucking insane, basically. He divides people. I don't fucking... Dude, I have no idea. Unless these fucking chicken shit fucking cabinet people actually stand up to him, they need to pull the 25th Amendment on his ass and get him out of office, is what they really need to do. Unless they stand up to him, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I mean, if you got George W. Bush over here making some simple...
I know.
He needs to be in prison, don't get me wrong, right? In The Hague or some shit. But from the comfort of his cell in The Hague, he could be saying this shit, right? If he's saying that, I mean, what the fuck's happening in this world? Really?
So are you looking forward to the Republican National Convention moving to Nashville?
Atlanta.
So they talk about Atlanta. Although the governor and Trump aren't always getting along. Like, he doesn't always agree with him, so that's bad.
He didn't agree with
So
anybody.
maybe Tennessee could be the place.
Nashville?
It's really weird. It's like, I don't even know, like, they're supposed to do it in Milwaukee for the Democrats. I'm like, really, why have something like this? And especially with the current political situation, like, people are just going to be protesting anyway. This is going to be like 1968 with social media, which is not good.
Come to Nashville, motherfucker. Don't think you want to. You in the current climate, you think it's going to be nice and easy? No, sir. No, sir. Try again. Charlotte, I mean, is about the same demographics as Nashville, I think. So, I mean, it's not going to be any easier here. I don't know what he thinks Nashville's going to be any fucking better. Because my silly ass will be down there. If my fat ass is going to be down there, there's something seriously wrong. If you drag my fat ass out of the house. You know. So I don't know where the cities are usually bluer though. So I don't know what you gonna do. Hold it in fucking the state fair? You might as well. State fair in fucking Bumfuck County. That's the only place you're gonna get.
Came with an idea, so it's good. All right. Well, I think we've made it through the episode tonight. So where can people find you except for me, who I can't look up your podcast episodes, apparently? And Mr. Last Beer.
Oh, let's see. Podunk Polymath on Twitter, at Podunk Polymath. Podunk Polymath. Did I say Podunk? I did keep doing that. Postmodern Polymaths on Twitter. Postmodern Polymaths. The Postmodern Polymaths. .com on my website, then Postmodern Polymaths on Facebook. Basically, Postmodern Polymaths, and any direction you go in, go check it out. That's about it. I haven't put out. We actually had Dixieland, which you need to get them on. Actually, they're really cool. They're out of.
I want me to have people on after you.
If they'll come on for me, they'll come on for you. So you need to get.
That's really where I should be aiming at this point, yeah. And then the cat is back. Cat's like, dude, seriously, I'm gonna do a
basically that's my cue, I guess.
That's awesome.
But they're out of Montgomery. A couple white guys, a black dude. They do a podcast, and it's leftist as fuck. And Montgomery's where it's at. I know some people in Montgomery. That's where all the good protest shit is. So, go check that out, and then go get them to come on your show if you're looking for guests.
Sounds good. Always. It's just the whole asking them aspect that gives me trouble. So thanks, Chris, for being on. Next time in Nashville, I'll have to send all Lagunitas your way.
Beer.
o'clock is the best time of...
Took your note about the whole higher power thing, and I reached out to God, and he got right back to me. Turns out he's the Old Testament God. He smote my enemy, and he punished the innocent.
Live read. Now, as much as we probably don't want to see the social media posts of important companies trying to act like they care about all lives, black lives, any lives, it was a good week for Thomas Smith of Serious Inquiries only to have on Alex Jules, because Alex Jules is a thoughtful, considerate person and was able to talk about the longstanding frustration behind the protests that have happened over the past week in America. So a good episode, and in fact, there are quite a few. I'm going to try to copy as many as I can, because we are having, hopefully, a bit of a breakthrough, a bit of humanity right now. And there's even some humor in there. I mean, for the most part, yeah, it's hard to see anything jokey or funny about what's going on and the suffering a lot of people in our country have gone through since, the beginning. We can pretend it's been great, and it's going to be great again, but it'll only be great if we basically face what is the opposite of great and just lean into it for a while, because if we don't, we're really going to suffer. You think we're suffering now? It'll be way worse if we try to pretend it's something else. We try to pretend that we're drinking hemlock and it's actually an ice cream cone. It's not going to go very well for anybody if we do that. So if you want to support the show, still doing Patreon free right now, so you get free bonus cat videos and extra long podcasts. Be like Freethinker215, Alan Marks, you-man, Chris of the Postmodern Polymath Podcast. Was he the guest? I don't know. Larry, Daryl, and the other Daryl. And go to patreon.com/Zachrilege, Zachrilege. Someday I might charge you again. We'll see. Follow me on Twitter. Lots of retweets lately, so probably back for the best. Like the Zachrilege Cast page on Facebook. Send all mail to zachrilege.cast@gmail.com. Got a couple of guests lined up, but since I don't know if they're coming on next week, I'm not going to say their names just yet, but they are pretty big YouTubers, so hopefully we can dip back into the YouTube side. Reality plus content creators. It's always an interesting journey. So thank you very much for listening. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, let's continue the conversation.